Airports can be confusing enough in real life, let alone when you want to build one in Minecraft. But in today's video, I'll be going over the essentials of getting your Cyberpunk airport project off the ground. Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to another tutorial. Today, we are talking airports. I was gonna do spaceports as well, and then I realized it'd be better to dedicate a full video to each. So, without further ado, let's get started with something that every airport needs tons of: security. And here I have just a couple of the metal detectors, you know, the security checkpoints, right? Comply. And some radiation banners to show that the bags and stuff that you're gonna be putting through there are probably all gonna get irradiated. Fantastic. And yeah, these are just two different designs to the same sort of thing. I've attached them up together to show you some kind of you know, battery where they might all be attached, and there's rows and rows of people coming through all of these. I've done one with like vanilla screens with banners, and then a couple with custom heads, because yeah, I like to give you guys some options. And that is security. I mean, it's also worth noting that every airport does actually need like a security gatehouse and maybe some security walls around the outside and some towers and stuff like that, all depending on whether you're going for like an airfield or an actual airport. The security can get beefed up any which way you want, but definitely some security cameras around would be nice. Maybe some drones flying around for security purposes. Next up is support vehicles, and here we have Andy. Andy is our animatronic, or automaton, or whatever. He's going to be running all our machinery for today. And one of the things that you want with support vehicles is obviously the staircases. You can make this as big as you want and as tall as you want, whatever. But just as an example, just a staircase for going up to the aeroplanes and things like that. That's very handy. I got a little tow bar on the front here that can hook onto a truck so it can get pulled around. And I've been using dragon heads as wheels, but you could also do things like grindstones for some smaller wheel details. Then we have the baggage cars here, all driven by Andy, and you just have the regular one. If you may be building a city somewhere where it doesn't really rain that much, you probably don't need any roofs, but then if you do need roofs, just a simple little design like this will keep everyone's baggage nice and dry, because we care about baggage. Even though this is Cyberpunk, they probably wouldn't care about baggage at all. No. They wouldn't care about baggage at all, would they? Built that one. Anyway, then we have a pushback. This is a very important vehicle for any airport or even airfield or whatever, because this is the little thing that pulls the planes around and pushes them into position and all of that sort of stuff. And this is a very nice little design. I'll just fly around slowly so you guys can get a full view of this one. Yeah. So, again, Andy driving it. I got some custom heads, but you don't really need the custom heads. We got some signs and banners and all kinds of little details. And I am very pleased with this little set. I had a ton of fun making this, and I hope you guys like it. Next up, we're looking at something that is very important for airports, and probably one of the reasons we should stop using so much air travel in modern times. Fuel. We need lots of fuel to fuel the big planes. Look at that. Spoilers for later in the video. Anyway, yeah, you're gonna need some fuel tanks, either like these ones, maybe make them a bit bigger if you want, but this is just a good example of a nice little fuel tank. Or you could have a standing version of it like this. This one's VP. Anyone remember what VP stands for? I'm not gonna let you guess. It's Valham Petroleum from my Atlantia series. Valham Petroleum, and we got a big old hose pipe out the front here with a nozzle. You don't really need a custom head. You could probably just use a wall or a button or lever or something to make it look like there's a nozzle to the front of it. But yeah, a big tank, and that tank is here to fill our fuel truck, right? This is a modified version of the fire truck from my vehicles tutorial video. So yeah, you could also use this fire truck in your airport builds, along with military vehicles and the whatnots. But you definitely need some fire trucks around. Also, you could probably link up terminals and things with something like this monorail. That would be useful. And this time we have Andrew, Andy's bigger brother. I know it's the same name. Names are hard, okay? Anyway, this one's running on full hover tech. No wheels touching the ground on this one. Big tank on the back, and it's got a fueling station here where it can actually drive in underneath one of these bigger ones and just drop the fuel straight into the tank. And then this connects up straight to the aeroplane on the side, and this bit can actually go in underneath the aeroplane. So all in all, a pretty useful truck, and I do like the redesign of it. I think it came out pretty sweet. Moving on to the next one, and we got helicopters and helipads. Now, like I said at the start of this video, I decided not to go the space route with all of the vehicles and the things, because I feel like I could do an entire video on that and it would make this one feel too cramped. But in the meantime, if you guys do want some spacecrafts for your airport, then go check out Enigma's video on all the spacecrafts that he made. I'll leave a card up in the corner now. So here we have one of those Apache helicopters. Those of you that watch my Random Craft series will definitely recognize this one. It's got a bit of a redesign. I've been using the mud and the rooted mud or muddy roots or whatever it's called to give it more of a rusty, metal-y kind of look. I did the same with the big helicopter there. And yeah, all in all, it is just a dark style military helicopter. I've also darkened up the helipad that I was using. I do like the combination, and I've done this many times before, of yellow terracotta and coal for my caution strips. I feel like those colors are just a little bit better muted than going with like concrete and all of those sorts of things that's very bright. But lots of little details on this helicopter, and I'm very pleased with the way it is looking. And then if we look at the big boy here, we can actually go on the inside. It even has some benches here for the paramedics to sit in, and the cockpit, which now that I realize I didn't actually put any kind of like instruments up in there. But yeah, it's just another big dark military style what do you call ambulance helicopter? I don't know. Medivac, that's the thing, right? And I've also put on some port and starboard lights on all of these. Now again, custom heads are not necessary. You can always get away with warped buttons and crimson buttons, something that I actually used on the planes more, but we'll get to that in a second. And then the second thing that I wanted to show you guys here is that the helipads don't need to be elevated. They don't need to be all that fancy. Sometimes just putting some painted markings on whatever floor it is you have could work just as well. This helipad here is a very nice one, and these ones can get stacked very well inside of like military air bases, right? So they can get stacked up and you can have them all lined up very nicely. And then moving on to more military air vehicles, I guess, is drones and aeroplanes. We're going to be covering this all in the last bit here. So we have here a drone, one of the big bomber drones, not like the little flyy buzzy ones, the surveillance drones. These ones are meant to deal some damage. This is I don't really know drone models, but some of you might recognize the shape of this. I've also gone for the Derpol colors, so we have the cyan, the black, and the yellow as kind of like a flag design, but you could do that with whatever flag colors you want if you're going with like a military look. And then, like I said, crimson buttons and warped buttons for port and starboard is also a nice little detail. I've gone here for just some jet engines. They're not exactly the same shape they used to be, but I like the flat design of them. I think they look super sleek. And this is just a dirty drone. Same goes for both of these aeroplanes. They're just dirty because this is outdated technology. It might still be in use in a cyberpunk setting, but people got spaceships, people got flying cars. these sorts of things are not really getting maintained all that well. What we have here is just some dirt buildup and some soot buildup and all that sort of stuff. I mean, it was initially white and black and gray and all of that, but yeah, it's not been maintained all that well. And the same can be said for this jet here. Again, I'm not good with plane models and all of that sort of stuff, so it's a fighter jet. That's as much as I know, guys. I am sorry, not my field of expertise. I built them, I don't name them. And I did say that naming was difficult for me. So you got like a vent sort of thing down here, the air intake, basically, right? And then you also have the jet engine at the back, and it's got a couple of guns here around the front, like so. And then I've liked playing around with the grindstones as like retractable wheels for the landing gear. I think that came out pretty nice. And we again have Andy in here because these things have been retrofitted to be autonomous, because who needs to fly these things, really? No one does. So this is technically just a massive drone. And then before we go on to our little piece de resistance up there, let me just go over the runway with you guys. So as you approach the runway, you'll see that there are many different things going on here. First of all, there's the caution lights, so obviously try not to touch down before this. One thing that is vitally important for me to mention, because a lot of people get this wrong, is the numbers on the runways are not the runway numbers. These numbers indicate the orientation. This runway is facing south, which is what the 18 stands for. It's 180 degrees. It's facing 180 degrees from north, which is south. So if this thing was facing, if that's south, then that would be west. That's a 27. If that was north, then it would be 00. If it was facing west, then it would be 90. Please bear that in mind, because these are not runway numbers, they are orientations. And if you are a mad lad and you decide to build a diagonal runway, then you could just figure out what the actual orientation is. Then you have all of the assist lines here, which is meant to show how much time the pilot has to actually get his wheels on the ground. Like, here's probably the ideal spot to get your back wheels down, and then, you know, you're running out of time as you go here. I'm not entirely sure how these work, and I just realized there's a carpet missing, and that's going to bother me. So there we go. So yeah, that is pretty much the runway. This side is for lining it up, obviously, so you can go take off. And obviously this plane is a little bit too big for this runway. This is again one that I used from Random Craft just to show you guys. But you'd make the runway a little bit bigger. In fact, all of these line strips should be about 500 blocks apart if you want a really accurate runway. But we're not going to do that, because that would take up entirely too much space. But you can do that if you want, right? Space them out nice and evenly. And then right at the back here, I also just want to mention that we have a big blast plate. Could have probably done with adding another section like this up here, because I feel like this booster is very closely just going to miss that. But yeah, blast plates at the back of your runway for your jets and things like that is a nice little detail. And again, you could probably go with maybe putting in some deep slate in like this area here. That would give you that nice charred, sooty kind of look from the jet engines. I think that would be a nice final little detail. And then we get to our final piece here, is the Airbus, right? This is a big old jet, proper passenger liner. So it has an interior. I'll show you guys that in a second. And it's got some really cool landing gear. And I've actually repurposed some of the jets that I put on my container ship. I've put them onto this airplane, and I think they look pretty damn slick. So yeah, I mean, it's an airplane, right? And as much as I fly around this, I'm sure you guys aren't going to take in everything to be able to recreate this one. So I do suggest getting the world download for yourselves. And yeah, having a look at this bad boy. face to face, but let's go have a little look inside as well, because no airport is complete without a proper plane, and this is a really proper plane, I think. So we got our joysticks, or whatever you call them, the things that they fly them with. Again, guys, this is not my area of expertise. I don't know much about planes, okay? And we got some dials and bits and bobs, and then we have a little steward galley or pantry or whatever, and there's some toilets there. There's nothing really behind them. There's not enough space for this. And then we have first class and business class and then economy class. And then where I can afford to fly usually is right at the back here, in economy plus or whatever, or economy minus, I guess. Economy light, I think is, I don't know what it's called. Ryanair premium. But yeah, that's pretty much the entire inside of the airplane as well. And we have some emergency exits, and yeah, that's it. Oh, I'm just gonna go in here, thank you. And that is gonna do it for me for today, ladies and gentlemen. So if you liked it, you know what to do. Wow, that is a close Derpol right there. And if you want to learn how to make this spaceship that I am sitting in right now, I suggest watching the video up on the screen. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye. Ow, no.